Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, City Current CEO, Jeremy Park.
Welcome back to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And in this case, we're talking about the power of placements, careers, opportunities. That's why we're honored to have with us Travis Guerra. He's the founder of ONWARD Headhunting. How are you doing?
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. We're definitely going to talk all about what you do and the opportunities you provide, both for companies and obviously individuals on the headhunting, the placement side, the executive side. But let's dive into a little bit of your backstory. So give us some of your background in launching the company.
Yeah. So born and raised Chicagoland, kind of west suburbs of Chicago, came down to Nashville in 2010. So I've been here for almost 14 years. August 22nd will be 14 years, which is wild. Attended Lipscomb University. And first big boy job I got was actually in the healthcare consulting space. And so really kind of understood that context of healthcare delivery. And obviously what makes Nashville is that heavy healthcare industry segment. And so spent about 4 years there, and then had kind of a true calling on my life, I think, just to help other people win. And while I loved doing that in the healthcare consulting capacity, I actually moved into kind of a traditional recruiting shop, highly focused on healthcare. So I spent about 5 years there, and I left as a partner back in December. I'd had a deep conviction that the style I wanted to approach was more retained. So there's the classic contingent, which is risk-based. So you work for free until an individual is placed. The retained side is, hey, if you're the best at what you do, I believe you don't do it for free. And the retained side is a deposit from the client, and usually results in an exclusive opportunity to work a specific role. Whereas contingency, they will go, I believe that where clients pay, they pay attention. And if they don't pay you on the contingent side, they're going to go to multiple other shops and kind of shop around candidates for free until they find somebody. Retained is really at the top of the recruiting space, and that's where people that are truly excellent at what they do operate. And so that is why I started Onward. I wanted something that was tied to the success, both on the client side as well as on my side, and then just also to work with A-level clients and A-level candidates. And that's what we do at Onward. So we place elite executive and finance talent for private equity-backed high growth healthcare companies, and no better city to do that than in Nashville. And then, we're expanding and targeting markets such as Chicago, New York, Denver, and Dallas as well.
Give us a little bit of the background, because obviously you kind of talked about the model right there, but dive in deeper, because when you talk about that sort of specialization, it's creating the network, finding the leaders, the individuals that have that level of experience and expertise, and then the companies obviously in matching. And so there's a lot of, strategy, matchmaking, networking that needs to happen as a part of the secret sauce. So talk about how all of this comes together on your end.
Yeah, most definitely. So I tell people I'm in the business of expertise. And that expertise is the niche that is healthcare, private equity-backed high growth organizations. So, what clients come to me for is not just, hey, you niche down or you've niched down into healthcare in this executive level, but you also have, Onward has a deep passive network as well as an active network and relationships that we're developing. So it is not only a client need comes in and we post a job and we recruit on that, but it is a client need surfaces, they retain Onward, and we start to target our passive and kind of older network, but people we have relationships with. And then we're also, doing other efforts. I host a quarterly cigar event in Nashville. And then when I travel, I also host cigar events too. It's kind of my thing. And so in Nashville, we get deal makers, private equity, investment bankers, strategy guys at these healthcare companies to come, network, build relationships. And that's also a place where you start to have, a couple individuals that maybe mention, hey, I'm actually looking for a new role. If you have a CFO opportunity, or if private equity company looks like this, or the fund looks like this. I'd love to go work for them. And so we note that, and we keep those individuals kind of in our warm and passive network. And then I'm also attending a lot of private equity events and conferences. So I'll be at an organization, ACG. They have a conference here in Nashville in April. I'll be in Chicago for McGuire Woods Private Equity Healthcare Conference in May, and I'll be back in Nashville for the Leadership Healthcare Conference in October, and going to try to fit one more in there. But yeah, we really approach it kind of a multi-pronged approach of what our existing network is, how do we drive relationships and grow our network in the areas that we are in, and then also how do we attend conferences, shake hands, kiss babies, build those relationships where someone remembers a month, 2 months later, man, I met Travis, or I met one of the ONWARD guys or gals, and they really seem to have an expertise in this functional area of healthcare, private equity-backed platform companies. We need to reach out to them for our next, executive level role or important key leadership position.
Well, and just like you're talking about, you're building a national and probably even international network, and then you're being able to source then based on the specific needs. Talk about, when you look at the healthcare private equity backed, obviously each company is a little different in terms of where they're headed, what they need, but what are some of the trends or what are the through lines that you're seeing in terms of like what they're going through, what they're experiencing, what their needs are, maybe how they've changed, over the last 3 to 5 years? Are there any of those things that you're seeing kind of as a trend?
Yeah. So, private equity coming into the healthcare space isn't new. Although over the last decade it's increased. You're looking at investors who want alternatives. If you rewind 50 years, the traditional wealth growth was the stock market or build your own company. Now you have private equity funds that are growing, working with their limited partners or high net wealth individuals to find alternative ways to grow their wealth that isn't the stock market or building their own company. And so private equity deploys that. Typically what they do is they raise funds. So some private equity funds are on fund 15, while others are younger guys in the space, and they're maybe only on fund 2. They raise that capital, and then they go deploy that across platform companies or sectors where they feel like they have competence. So we have seen that to the point of alternative investments growing in the past 2 decades. Private equity is a great place for individuals to park their money, and so we've seen that grow in the healthcare space. Capital being deployed within healthcare, specifically within some of these physician-owned practice spaces. So think oncology, dental, orthodontic, physical therapy. So you think of physicians or people that are licensed to practice medicine. They've gone to school for 10, 15 years. They start their company, they own their building, they've worked at it for 10 or 15 years, and they go, what I really hate, what I really love is I love delivering patient care. What I really hate is the back office, the accounts receivable, accounts payable. So private equity companies are coming in, and they are offering those physicians, the younger guys who still want to practice, hey, we'll take off all of the back office headache and you can just practice medicine. And they're like, awesome. And I get to affiliate with your organization, which hopefully has a good reputation. The other reason that people are aligning with private equity backed shops, especially in healthcare, is if there's not a legacy plan. So maybe a physician is nearing their late 50s or early 60s, and their son didn't become an orthopedic spine surgeon, and so he has no one to pass the business to, but it's a pretty solid asset. And to close a practice without maybe looking at a transition partner would be throwing money away. So that's also where private equity can come in. And they buy that practice. Hey, physician, Dr. Bob, you can work for the next 5 years. We'll give you an earnout. Plus, we'll handle the headache of finding your replacement and continuing to grow your legacy even as you move on into retirement or maybe something else that you're more passionate about. So we've seen a lot of growth in that space. Private equity dollars in healthcare continues to rise. Admittedly, last year, especially if people were paying attention to the deal market, things did slow with interest rates rising. Now, Jerome Powell and the Fed have come out here in the last few weeks and confirmed that it looks like we will have 3 rate decreases this year. So that is hopefully going to spur on more deal activity. I know my clients, whether it's on the healthcare side or the transaction advisory side, the consultants that help do financial due diligence with the PE funds, they're saying, hey, our phones are ringing. private equity guys are ready to deploy capital, and so it looks very positive for the year. And what a great year to start a business that's focused primarily on executive finance talent for private equity-backed healthcare companies.
What does that mean for individuals? So do they need to have experience working with private equity? Does that matter? Is that a factor for those who are listening saying, wow, I think this really sounds like something I'd be interested, to reach out and learn more about? What sort of things do they need to have on that experience side? Because obviously you're singing on, the C-suite, but what does that mean for them in terms of experience coming in with healthcare, with private equity? How much of that is a factor?
Yeah, so it does depend. When we talk about executive level talent, we're traditionally talking about somebody that is a vice president, so leadership responsibilities, a seat at the table per se, up to C-suite. So sometimes you can see people break in, maybe if they haven't had any private equity experience, maybe they've had healthcare experience, and they can break in at a VP level to a private equity backed fund. Or the converse of, hey, maybe they don't have healthcare, but they've been part of a roll-up strategy for a private equity-backed shop, maybe in the light industrial space, and there's some overlap. Typically, if you don't have either, it's really going to be hard, especially to break into the healthcare industry. It is a very tight network. I think in Nashville, man, you're a stone's throw from probably just about every person that's a leader in the healthcare industry here in Nashville. Just by nature of especially being in this business. So, I think definitely somebody can break in through having either investment banking or private equity experience prior and being moved into a healthcare focus, or vice versa. Hey, maybe they're an accomplished healthcare executive more on the health system side, and they're ready to take that skill set and go into more of a high growth, high velocity, private equity backed organization. So, and I want to also note, not every private equity backed platform company or portfolio company is going to be a roll-up strategy. There's some that are focused on different areas of healthcare, but are still rapidly growing, have a lot of allocated capital from limited partners that have contributed to a fund, and then that fund is deployed across multiple portfolio companies.
When you look at yourself as the entrepreneur and building the culture, creating the team, the company, the growth, the success, what are a couple of your kind of favorite, pieces in terms of the culture, the way you operate, the relationship building? You mentioned the cigars and the travel and the building network, but talk about some of the things that really make your team special.
Yeah, so I think it goes back to core values. I mean, I always say, I think things always go in threes really nicely: mission, vision, values. Hey, what is our mission? Our mission is to place 5 executives across 5 new clients in 2024. Our vision for the organization is to be building the best teams, executive teams in healthcare. And our values are integrity. We keep the promises we make to ourselves and our clients. Grit, we operate at the intersection of passion and perseverance. We never give up. Relational equity. So we believe in growing our passive network and always doing good to the people that we interact with, and seeing which ways we can help them. And then also creativity. We approach complex problems with thoughtful solutions. And I think those core values, the mission and the vision, that's what centers us on a daily basis or weekly basis, and kind of keeps our vision clear, knowing who we're helping, how we're helping them, and then kind of how we deliver our product, which is people, and delivering those people into high growth organizations.
Touch on both sides. So for the businesses that say, this sounds, really interesting, I want to learn more. And then obviously for the individuals who say, I want to be, a part of these conversations, where do they begin with you all?
As far as clients, they're typically going to come to me directly. I have a pretty strong personal brand on the LinkedIn platform, having done this for several years, been in healthcare, et cetera. So I have people typically reach out to me on LinkedIn. Hey, Travis, we're a private equity fund. I've been connected with you for a while. Your content is right on. You're always talking about private equity, healthcare, or candidates that you're taking to market. We have a need. We would like to set up a discussion. And at this level, at the retained level, it moves into much more of a consultative process than kind of send us your best candidates. We'll let you know if we're interested. It is usually more of a consultative conversation. A retainer or is ACH'd or wired to the team at ONWARD. And at that point, they've retained our services. We have weekly catch-up calls. We strategize around the ideal players that are going to get it done for them. And then we really white glove the process with that fund or platform company. Typically, we get with funds at the top level, and then they actually send us down to the portfolio or platform companies and let them know, hey, we've retained ONWARD to hire the new CEO or your new CFO, and we work with them at that level. On the candidate side, it's a lot heavier inbound from a platform like LinkedIn, especially I mentioned kind of having a strong personal brand there that encapsulates what I do from an expertise standpoint, but then also tries to give people just, hey, I'm a normal guy. I'm just like you. You'll find me out socializing, spending time with my family on the lake, and it really tries to drive the familiarity. Is that something that I've always thought is very valuable is familiarity. And so a lot of folks are typically just reaching out. Hey, Travis, I saw you'd posted about, or you cut a video. I do a lot of video posting on LinkedIn, and I saw you cut a video about a director of transaction advisory or a managing partner at a private equity fund. I'd like to discuss that with you further. And so that's also a way that on the candidate side we connect. And then some of the classic, we'll post jobs on LinkedIn platforms, on job boards for needs of our clients, and we'll have inbounds there. We screen those people, develop relationships, and if they're a fit, we move them forward. If they're not a fit, then we are transparent with them and let them know kind of where they sit in the candidate spectrum for a specific role. And we let them know if they're going to move forward or not. And then from there, kind of categorize them within our CRM as, hey, maybe Jeff would be a great CFO for an orthopedic roll-up, but not for an ophthalmology roll-up. So that's a little bit of kind of the inbound from the client side, inbound from the candidate side, and that's how we handle it.
Yeah, good stuff. We'll wrap up then with website. I know you have a strong LinkedIn profile, but talk about that presence, and then obviously website where we go to carry this conversation forward.
Yeah, most definitely. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Travis Guerra. It's just how you'd spell Travis, like Travis Kelce. But that's going to be a popular name. I know it. There's going to be so many boys born in the next couple of years with the name Travis. It's going to make a comeback. But yeah, Travis Guerra, Guerra. There on LinkedIn, you can find me. It'd probably pop up pretty quick. And then ONWARD Headhunting on LinkedIn as well, all capital for ONWARD. And then you can find us www.onwardheadhunting.com. And if there's an interest there, you scroll down to the bottom. There's an intake form where you jot down some of your information, and someone from our team will reach out, set up a time for us to discuss your needs further. So
good stuff. Well, Travis, thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me. It was really a pleasure, Jeremy, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.